mean, I actually quite like the doctrine changes, because it can make the doctrine bonuses from this really more effective. In fact, I should probably take a look at what the options here are. Bombard the enemy! Which we can only do if we are not paternal autocrats. And that's a research bonus for superior firepower. So we're grand battle plan. Research bonus for industry. Research speed, man. Bombard the... This line is so much stronger. +5 division organisation is going to be nice. That does rather suggest we need a lot of infantry, though. All of the following, we can't get that. We can, however, get the German arms. Reorganise military requires one of the following, which we can do, which is recruitable population factor increase. Continue working with German officers gives us a little bit of experience. Prioritise the Jaeger troops. Grants division speed +5, division attack +5. That's cool. Defense +5, division defense on core +10, and then special forces. They really need to make Grand Battle Plan better again. I used to love Grand Battle Plan, but they nerfed it really badly a couple of patches ago, and it's just not worth it anymore. Because the whole thing with Grand Battle Plan, it used to be super slow moving, but you could build up an incredible amount of planning preparation. So as long as you were able to hold your position to build up the planning preparation, you could just advance like a steamroller. But they've massively nerfed the amount of planning prep that they got. So it's not worth it anymore. German defense contract is complete. So now we're going to grab Wacker, so we can get the extra civilian factories and start building up the economy again. Founded in 1848, Wacker is known for its construction equipment and innovations in the field of concrete and soil production. By working with them, we can perhaps further work towards successfully industrializing Finland. And we do now have an additional military factory. And I think that factory... What do we want you to do? Manpower is going to be a problem, so we probably do just want lots of artillery. I like it for the organisation boost. If you want high organisation, though, you want mobile warfare. Even if you're not building tanks, mobile warfare just has ridiculous amounts of organisation. Way more than Grand Battle Plan. See, more guns is, yeah, it's good, but we could also do more artillery, and if we're going superior firepower, we're going to want artillery. More big guns! Like, the only potential advantage the Grand Battle Plan has is it's relatively decent in defense, but superior firepower does defense better. The entrenchment speed and max entrenchment is the only good thing about it. Like, everything else lacks. Oh, and they can get the... Nope, that's also superior firepower. Airland battle. There's basically just no advantage to this whatsoever. Yes, you can still get more max planning than any of the others, but not to the levels where it's really required to make the breach, and certainly not to the levels to counter any of the benefits from the others. I mean, the way that they could fix Grand Battle Plan is to make it the defensive doctrine, because right now, none of them are particularly defensive. It's kind of a tie between Grand Battle Plan and superior firepower for defensiveness. So if they made Grand Battle Plan all about good at defense, then it would be worthwhile. You could do it as a defensive nation, like Finland or Germany. I mean, Kaiserreich Germany, not regular Germany, because that's obviously mobile warfare. And then superior firepower is the one that does manpower damage. Mass assault is about the one having lots of manpower. And then mobile warfare is about having lots of organisation and or highly mechanized forces. But right now, Grand Battle Plan's just so weak compared to the other three. There's no reason to take it. And it pisses me off, because I used to really like it. Well, by guns, I did mean artillery. They are guns too, after all. This is true. And January 37. Let's get some more construction. I have a feeling we're going to be relatively technologically backwards. Only 3 tech slots is going to be irritating. We need Nokia. We need Nokia for another tech slot, and also completely invulnerable electronics. Reliability of support equipment plus 100%. Mounting descent and lack of grain. Stability back down to 24%. That's not good. These are still not unlocked yet. It kind of looks like Mannerheim is only possible if you do actually have instability. The Hoosian kingdoms declared war on Japan. The rise of Japan in recent decades massively upset the status quo in East Asia, and the annexation of Korea in 1910 to the land of the rising sun was seen as indicative of a new order on the mainland. However, Japanese power is not limitless, and the colonization efforts in Korea, Manchuria and Formosa have led to great resentment against their occupiers, leading in this instance to open revolt in the Korean peninsula. So, Korea. 2 factories. 9 troops versus 70 troops and many factories. That's one of the most ridiculous uprisings. Like, they never do anything. It's a slight blip. You zoom in on the map, is the city of Nokia there? No. Way too early. What about superior firepower? What does it do? Superior firepower adds loads of soft attack. So if you're up against someone with mobile warfare, you might struggle because they're going to have a lot of mechanized. But if you're up against mass assault in particular, you're going to rock because you do just lots and lots of damage. And you're also going to do a lot of industrial damage because they're going to need to spend more on replacing lost equipment. But if they have hardness and a way of resisting soft attack through armor, then you're going to be struggling. Since the end of the Austrian occupation during the 1920s, Serbia has officially been a kingdom. They never dared to crown a king as they were forced to keep a low profile in the light of further Austrian aggression. Petar Bovic, the regent of Serbia for almost 2 decades, has a known royalist and has now decided to restore the monarchy. Alexander II, the son of the former King Peter I, has accepted the crown and is today crowned King of Serbia. Well, Kaiserreich needs to do what Old World Blues did and redo the doctrines for the setting. Germany switched the tanks after more or less losing because due to the shock troops who won the war, so military focused on the SD. Yes, I agree with that. Like, Kaiserreich could really do with basically overhauling the entire tech tree. Like, I love what they've done with the naval techs, and I very much hope that's indicative of things to come in the future. I'm a little bit surprised that this far into Kaiserreich development that they just haven't yet. Like, even the Great War has changed the tech tree, thankfully. I quite like how the Great War did it. Where you have, like, the World War I doctrines and then a separate World War II doctrine. Although I somewhat disagree with the game going that far into the future. But I do like having advanced doctrines once you've completed one of the main doctrine trees. The Treaty of Kashgar. Tibet took 1 state, Mongolia took 11, Marklik has been annexed. That was a quick war. Mongolia has taken their stuff very, very fast. Oh, and now we've gone past March, so we can restore the monarchy. Gain stability. Paternal autocrats gain popularity. State police. Economic liberation, conservative bulwark. Educate the citizenry. Ooh, research speed. Reward the farmers. And then stable Finland. I do wish that we'd got Mannerheim. How would you get Mannerheim? It's got to be the rebellion. It's got to be these guys doing the rebellion, and then you can probably fight the rebellion, then get Mannerheim, maybe. Because he's on the side of the White Guard, who we imprisoned. How much is this game on Steam? Don't know. I would wait for a sale, though. Paradox games go on sale a lot. And in fact, if you want to get a Paradox game, you should totally do it through my link, which you can find here. Yeah. Because that way, if you buy the game, then I get a little kickback as well. And just like on Steam, it goes on sale all the time over there. And that's true for any Paradox game, by the way. You should totally get it via that link. And then I get a little kickback too. Okay, Monarchy. Yes, I think we... Getting the Karelia infrastructure is not hugely important right now. In fact, I don't think any of these are. So let's do the Monarchy. Despite having faced opposition from the Socialists, Liberals, and even within parts of the military, King Frederick Karl has managed to hold on to power and secure the position of the monarchy within Finland, empowering it to heights once seen as unattainable. A little bit disappointed that there aren't more options after that. But I guess we just went the straight and narrow, and I guess got a bit lucky that my state police did as much damage as they did. I don't know if that's luck-based or if it's just more hard-coded. Right, we do still have technology. We could get dispersed too. Or improve machine tools. This is not production efficiency growth, it's just base. Let's go for the machine tools and then we can go for the decentralized. Okay, and we now can get another head of military intelligence, but it does look like the paternal autocrats are going to stay in power. So I don't... The problem is, if I got one of these, they could every now and then fire an event which reduces our party popularity, and we're already struggling a little bit for that. So I'm going to hold off for now until we have a way of securing party popularity through finishing our political tree. Germany, East Asia and Indo-Chinese Union have ended their hostilities. Indo-Chinese Union won. Well, that's unfortunate. Oh, Russia sent volunteers to Korea. That's interesting. Can I not see what Russia's done? Like, have they still not got a government? Is this the democracy? I'm waiting for them to do one of these, which is obvious. Unfortunately, continue modernizations over here. They've basically just been doing these. Indo-Chinese revolt succeeds with the tenacity and fury of the Viet Minh troops, driving German troops out of nearly all strategical points on the Indo-Chinese peninsula. The German Foreign Office finally agreed to meet the officers of the rebellion and offered full independence to the entire land they claim. Thus today, the creation of the Indo-Chinese Union was confirmed by the Viet Minh, to the cheers of the Vietnamese people who had come to witness this historical event. Germany is not doing well in Asia. In fact, I would say generally Germany is doing pretty badly. The Second American Civil War, to those not in the know, might seem like the crisis in the United States came out of nowhere, but experts agree that this was a civil war years in the making. Since the collapse of the New York Stock Exchange in 1925, the economy of the United States has been sluggish and mired in deep recession. Now, the United States has collapsed into an all-out civil war between the supporters of the federal government, the combined syndicates of America and the right-wing American Union states, the remnants of democratic rule in the Pacific states of America. Volunteers are pouring in from around the world to support one faction or another, with some characterizing the bitter ideological conflict as simply part of a wider global clash of ideals. The United States declared war on the Pacific States has declared war on the Union States, and the CSA has declared war on the Pacific States, the CSA has declared war on the AUS, and the AUS has declared war on the US. Oh, you know what happens. It's a four-way civil war. This time we actually got the PSA coming in. So, what team do I support? And am I actually able to? My army might be too small. Yeah, my army is too small. Can't. That's a bit disappointing. CSA wins, calling it. Well, the USA is going to put up less of a fight now because of the PSA being there. If the AUS can make good gains against the USA early on, then they might be able to wrestle it back. Diplomatic development. Panama has joined the Entente. With the eruption of war in North America, the balance of power suddenly and perhaps irrevocably changed. There will be consequences for this region and beyond. Just hope they get Texas. Well, they're certainly doing a good job taking Texas. Sometimes they're a bit slow off the ball taking it. Syndicate militias have advanced towards and captured the symbolic capital of the United States, Washington, D.C. They stormed the Capitol building and met strong resistance, but eventually they broke through and their flag of the combined syndicates of America now flies over the US Capitol. Excellent time for the Dutch to send in their 2 tanks and reclaim New York. Democracy prevails in the Philippines. Having just achieved independence from the United States, the Philippines face today perhaps one of the most serious challenges any new country could face. Inspired by the combined syndicates of America and the Baratia Commune, disgruntled army officers have marched on Manila to support rebelling peasants and workers. The United States taught them well. And actually, speaking of the Dutch retaking New York, or New Amsterdam as it's clearly supposed to be called, I'm working on doing a European Universalis 4 multiplayer game, a new community multiplayer, which will not be this Sunday, but the Sunday coming. Currently, that is open for patrons of Huscarl level or higher to choose their countries. What we're doing is quite an interesting game. It's basically goal-based. So I've created a list of various countries in Europe that you can play as. Each one has 5 goals plus 1 secret goal, and you have to achieve those goals. The first person to 4 points wins. If you are interested in joining this, it is currently open to patrons until Thursday, when I'm going to open it up to everyone. So if you're a patron of Huscarl or level or higher, go to my Discord. If one of the mods could link in Discord, that'd be fantastic, and you'll see a sign-up sheet. Then on Thursday, that's going to open up to everyone. So if you are interested in joining the European Universalis European Universalis multiplayer game, Discord is the place to do that, so you must be on Discord to join. The reason I bring that up is because one of the Dutch minor goals is to colonize Manhattan and bring it up to 40 development, I think it was. So you have to basically establish New Amsterdam and keep it. It should be a good game, so you should totally join us. Llama, thank you very much for the follow, and Matt, thank you for the follow. Welcome to the channel. Old Tanker Leo, perhaps some Paris resupply by transports. It's hardly ever done. The problem with that is you'd need to have air superiority, and I'm not convinced that we could do it. So we just don't have the industrial potential. Comprised of hardline anti-syndicalists, theocrats, monarchists and extreme conservatives, the extreme wing of the National Coalition led by King Frederick has been in power since the creation of the Kingdom of Finland and its independence, backed largely by the German Empire. Despite having lost support by of large amounts of the Finnish populace due to the desire for true freedom, the National Coalition have, once again, managed to prove that they can hold on to power and are free to carry out their directives. As it stands, the overarching goal of the National Coalition is to maintain historical and economic ties with the German Empire, rally the Finnish people around the king, act as a conservative bulwark so as to prevent any more political instability within the nation, and work towards rewarding loyal supporters. And we join the Reichspakt. The Kingdom of Finland has joined the Reichspakt. With the threat of Russia seeking to reclaim its European territories, Frederick Karl has consolidated their relationship with the Reichspakt, hoping that they can provide much needed security for the small nation. And there we are, the die has been cast. Support the king, or reorganise the state police. We're going to support the king. Oh, economic liberalism is going to increase production efficiency retention but reduce the efficiency cap. I don't think I actually want this. I mean, my cap is going to be higher, but that works directly against having the decentralized industry. Dispersed industry, that's what it's called. Support the king, let's do it. We must begin the education of a new generation of Finns by teaching them the pros of the continued rule of the monarchy. We cannot allow for the next generation of Finns to be indoctrinated with hate against the very institution that allows for the stability of the nation, lest we find ourselves plunged into yet another period of instability. Oh, and speaking of which, can I? Yes, I can. Let's get partial mobilization. I don't know why this doesn't appear when you can change mobilization law. There was a pop-up for it. No, there wasn't. There was a pop-up for the focus, which we've just done, and then there was a pop-up saying you can spend points on one of these. No, that was for the military. Oh, it's because it's rolled into the military intelligence. That's why. The Second Internationale, the first Syndicalist Internationale held in Paris, dealt with spreading the ideology overseas, supporting syndicalist movements and strengthening the ties between existing syndicalist nations. And thanks to the gathering success, the Second Internationale has been called to be held in London. Representatives of the entire world were greeted by a British artillery salute, a Scottish bagpipe chorus, and an overall warm reception. As Europe rolls closer and closer to war, military and economic cooperation between the syndicalists is expected to be the primary topic of discussion, and France and Britain will once again call the shots in the Internationale's policy. How's the war going? This is what I should really be looking at. The Empire of Japan took one state, and the Koreans have been annexed. AUS is actually doing fairly well here. I'd say that they're expanding quicker than the syndicates are. Iron Guard Romania has joined the Belgrade Pact. Due to the shared hatred for Bulgaria's growing power, Greece has decided to enter the Belgrade Pact with Serbia to take down Bulgaria once and for all. This could very well shake the power balance within the Balkans. CNT FAI declares war on the Kingdom of Spain. Foundation of the Belgrade Pact: Serbia, Romania and Greece, the three Balkan members of the Entente, all with revanchist views of their own, have recently gathered to a common table of negotiations and have announced the beginning of the Belgrade Pact. While this pact puts a lot of focus on cultural discussion and preserving Balkan identities, it's also the military alliance between the participants, seemingly directed at the country separating them and holding their ancestral lands. This new development is a big thorn in the Bulgarian dominion of the Balkans, but only the incoming reaction to the other Central Powers can determine whether it will yield any fruit. In fact, one thing that I've just remembered actually exists, and I always forget this, are attaches. Requires 100 political power. Ugh. That's expensive. That's really expensive. Okay, that's why I've never done an attache. Crikey, I was expecting it to be like 20. And mostly just red telephones. Ever since the defeat of Napoleon, Spain's been plagued by violence, dissent, and turmoil. No amount of pleading, deal-making, and appeasement has managed to do more than paper over the cracks, and tensions bubbled. Finally, they boiled over. The Spanish kingdom has been ripped apart by a three-sided civil war between numerous factions. The loyalists of the Madrid government, the supporters of the pretender Javier, and finally the anarcho-syndicalists CNT-FAI. Well, I can go now. I only came here to hear Mordred say, "Crikey!" Well, I'm glad that you got your wish. And now we can modify government again for the military. The 1937 Dutch elections. The Netherlands has traditionally been one of the most political stable nations in Europe, and the Dutch people have for years been entrenched in their own political institutional pillars, which have tended to undermine radical tendencies. Due to the economic chaos caused by the Netherlands' close ties to Germany and Middle Europe, the rise of the far left Red Front and the nationalist VNH, the country's political situation is no more tense than it has been in many years. The nationalist VNH party succeeded in winning the election, greatly upsetting Dutch politics and overthrowing the CNA government. Still suffering from a weak minority rule, the VNH have invited the CNA into coalition, displaying a willingness to moderate the party in order to stamp out the left via legitimate parliamentary means. The Dutch do love their elections. Hooray, the Dutch have gone Dutch. Paternal autocrat, same as me. Diplomatic development. Sweden has joined the Reichspakt. With a long history of economic ties to Berlin and rising radicalism in the region, Sweden has formally joined the Reichspakt. That's both of us on the same side. This is great. If Russia does try anything, Sweden can come to my defense. Oh, that's really good. Reinstitute the Zemstvas. Aha, Democratic Republic. So, Russia's going to be the democratic bulwark. They might join the Entente. Not sure I've ever seen a democratic Russia. Huh. Interesting. Actually, let's just take a quick look at Sweden. Permanent military government. Their focus tree is pretty big. Conservative of our position, forced abdication, so they got rid of the monarchy. Have you gone national nat pop? No, you're also paternal autocrat. You're just a dictatorship. Yeah, okay. At least you didn't go socialist, that's the main thing. Otherwise I might have to kill you! The Swedish tree is quite impressive as well. This thing's huge. Kaiserreich always just knocks it out of the park with this stuff. It really does. Denmark. What does Denmark do? Black Monday stuff. Pro-Germany. Independence, socialist, democratic, monarchist. So these guys all have Nordic Federation, but I do not. So I guess the Nordic Federation is Denmark, Sweden, and Norway, as opposed to Denmark, Sweden, Norway, and Finland. And then Norway. A little bit smaller. Oh no, they have quite a lot down there. Panzersquip question. Naval. Revise the army plans. Defensive rearmament. Industrialization. Socialist. Well, the democratic mandate. So they've stayed democratic. So the north is secure. Is basically how I'm reading this. Yeah, I know Iceland is a tree. I'm kind of curious about it. I'm going to have a look after this. There'd better be some kind of reference to Vikings and the oldest democracy in the world. Which is true, by the way. Iceland is the oldest democracy in the world, based on the Viking thing. And in fact, their parliament's still called the Thing. You know, that democratic thing. It always makes me chuckle. I'm sure it means something very serious, but just the English version, the Thing, is their parliament.